pulled the handbrake and I forgot to remove it. And I started driving 150, 160. And the car was starting to vibrate, like this. And
Yeah.
this is weird. And the smell also.
Yeah.
I called my friend, Daniel, and I said, don't you smell something? He said, yes, it smells like burn the brake. And then I said, oh man, oh shit, I forgot the brake.
Hi everyone, welcome to the Car Chat podcast. I'm Sam Moores, and with me today I have Thierry Nardone. Hello.
Hello. Hi everyone.
Welcome. Can you tell the listeners a sort of short summary of who you are and what you do?
Yeah, so I'm Thierry Nardone, 41 years old. I'm the founder of Nardone Automotive. It's a company specialized in Restomod of non-911 Porsches. So basically transaxle Porsches. And the first project is the Nightweight that you have seen on Instagram.
Yeah. I noticed that you said non-911 Porsches. I mean, there's a lot of 911 Porsches, but that is also leaving the door open and sort of saying, if this goes well, there may be more.
Yeah, that's the plan. That's the plan. The ideas are already in my mind since a while, but we wanted to start with the Nightweight because it was the top of the range back in the days, and I thought it would be a perfect complement for all the 911s Restomods. So it's not a competitor; it's a grand tourer on one side. On the other side, it's more sport oriented. So that was the idea.
Yeah. And where did this all begin? Your journey, and then getting to Restomods. Have you been in the car world or?
I didn't study a lot, but the few I did, I study. It was a formation in south of France called Formation Mécanicien Compétition. So I had the opportunity to, thanks to this training, to work at a Porsche independent garage, and then in other companies like Solis back in the days, who was manufacturing the Peugeot 406 silhouette for the DTM. So I had a couple of experience like this, and then I stopped working in competition, and I started working as a seller, selling cars, second-hand market, And but this lasts for 2 years, 3 years maybe, and then I stopped because I moved in north of France, and no reputation when you are from south of France. Sometimes people in north of France don't like the way you walk in south of France. I had this guy in a dealership at Toyota who said, "Oh, I didn't see you come from France on your CV." I said, "Yes, I'm from Marseille." He said, no, so it's not gonna work then." Okay, just because I was from south of France. So
what's the difference, or what do people think that there is a difference?
I think, south of France is more hot, let's say, and probably we work with less rules. That's what people from Bretagne thought, maybe. I don't know, but we have good people in south of France as well. So
Yeah.
So that's how my passion for cars started. It started when I was a kid, but that was my first experience. Then I had a couple of different experiences in various field, like restoration, but fast food. A lot of different business. And now, I'm 41, and I started this project in my mind in 2019. And I wanted to reconnect with my passion. And actually, everything started thanks to Instagram. It's really an Instagram story, because I had fast food burger in south of France, and some of my employees told me, "Oh, you should install Instagram. You're passionate about cars." And I had no social medias back in the day, no Facebook, nothing. And I installed Instagram, and it was like doing this. My vision became very large, in 1 week. And I said, okay, I'm not the only guy interested in modifying a car in a way I was thinking, when when I was 20, 30, there was a lot of tuning, around Marseille. There was an event every Friday evening, and you could see all these cars like Fast and Furious.
Yeah,
But
yeah, yeah.
the modification were not very subtle, and I didn't find myself into this movement. So I always modified cars by myself. I was never able to keep a car stock, because there was always something I wanted to improve, and but in a very subtle way. And in the end, I think I was a bit marginal. But when I installed Instagram, I realized that this movement was called Restomod. Of course, I knew about Singer, which is the father of all the recent companies in Restomod. But so it started like this. And I saw this Lancia Delta Futurista from Eugenio Amos, Automobile Amos. And I contacted the design studio, Borromeo da Silva, and Carlo, which is the founder, was very polite to reply. I had maybe 30 follower on my account back in the days. And you could really feel the passion immediately, because we were talking about Porsche transaxle, and it could be cool to do something like this. And I said, for now, I would like just to modify my own car and to create a taillight, real lights. And so can you help with that? He said, yes, Thierry, but you have to know that if we do it in a way that we homologate everything, it's going to cost you a lot, because for the Delta, I don't remember, but it was something like 80,000 euro just to create the two lights. And actually, it was true, because now on my Restomod, it's even more than that.
Yeah.
So my idea to modernize my car as a garage build became quite quickly a project, a professional project. With Carlo, we continue talking, and he gave me a lot of information, which in a way allowed me to create my business plan, in my mind. And I realized that there was maybe an opportunity to do a business. I was passionate by Porsche transaxle. Of course, I love the 911s, but to me, there was nothing to add on the 911 market. I would say there is Roof and Singer. Roof is not a Restomod, of course, it's a car manufacturer, but those two gave birth to many companies in the Restomod, especially in the Porsche Restomod movement. And I think there are a lot of talented companies. That's not the problem. But when you are not trained to the Restomod world, you could immediately see that it's a Singer, but it's not. Because a lot are doing almost the same. Each of the companies with their own taste, I would say. But in the end, it's very similar. So it was clear that it must not be a 911. And when the project became more real, I said to Carlo, okay, let's do a Porsche Restomod project. And he said, okay, as long as it's not a 911, we will do it.
And at that point, did you have a 928 at that point in time?
Yeah, 928, 944 turbo. I had even a 911, but not a classic. I mean, it was a 996. So it was not the 964 or something like that.
Yeah. And that process, so you've initially reached out and you've said, hey, I kind of wanted to maybe redesign the lights. And he says it's probably going to cost 80,000 euros or something. Then to go, okay, I think we should do this as a project. What are you having to presumably you're taking on quite a lot. Are you splitting the risk with them, or are you taking on all the production pre-prep kind of costs yourself?
In this world, I mean, Borromeo da Silva, they were quite famous already in the Restomod world. thanks to the Delta Futurista, but they have done a lot of other projects, and they were quite famous. So all the companies I chose to work with, in fact, they chose to work on my project. Because if they don't feel the project, they don't work with you simply.
Yeah.
They don't run after business, And for the Nightweight, I would say that when you work with a design studio, they are artists, so they put their reputation in it's a risk for them if they mess with the project. So there is no I mean, the risk is split naturally, but of course I pay for the project, so it's only my project, I would say, and I chose to work with this bunch of companies which are always already renowned in this kind of movement.
Yeah, I guess that is quite a big. There's some pluses and negatives, but we've said, okay, a company like Roof has been around for forever, but like Singer now, I don't even know how long they've been around for now. 10 years, maybe.
No, maybe 16
more.
Yes, yeah.
Now we've got companies that have worked with Eugenio and other people who have run more than one project through them now.
Yeah.
You've sort of road tested. They've been through the process. Yeah. And to come in now, you can actually deal with people that have built a Restomod. Like they have, or at least like they've done their element. And then do you think that has allowed you to do it much? Is that, do you think that sped up the process or made it easier and helped on some stuff?
Yes, definitely. There are too many different ways to do Restomods. So you have companies like Seeger, who started from nothing with quite a lot of investment back in the days. Typical American success story. He built his own car, he drives it in the street, and he finds customers, etc., etc. Then you have companies like Eagle Type, like Alpha Leads. They are specialized in a model, Jaguar, Type E, or Alpha, Berton, etc. And they are working on these cars since so many years that it's natural for them. When you're passionate, you want to improve at some point. And naturally, they came to the Restomod movement. And actually, the word Restomod comes from a journalist who tested a Jaguar Eagle Type.
Yeah.
So it comes from there. And then you have companies like Automoliamos, like my company. The business model, the result is the same, but the business model is different. Personally, I come from a family which has not a famous name in the car industry. So it was risky for me personally to start. Imagine you have to create this kind of project. People very often, they don't realize the engineering that is behind the car. So you can't build this car in the garage, or you will spend 10 years and you will miss the train, because someone else will do it instead of you. But you can do it, for example, also in a way that Luca Becci, which is a good friend, does with Chimera. He has a lot of employees now. He has 30 plus employees. You have a big building because you need to put all these cars and all these people. And I chose this way to choose famous companies to surround myself, because I'm not famous. And when you need to make your proof quite quickly, it's better to have partners like them. And I would say that if I had to do it again today, I would do exactly the same way with the same people, because it was so natural to work with them. And I know now by experience that there are a lot of supposed specialists in this world who said, yes, we can do this, we can do this, we can do this. But in the end, when you build a car like this, you have to manage with hundreds of companies for the carbon, for the wire, for the suspension, for the brakes, for everything. And if you don't have all the connection with these companies, it can be very tricky. It's the same as when you build a house and you chose one company who does everything. It's quite fast and it's quite well done. And then you have your friend, oh, he's an electrician, I'm going to work with it. It starts to become a
Yeah.
mess because then the others say, yes, because it's the fault of this guy. If it's so it's exactly the same. And in fact, I chose 4 companies. I chose Borromeo de Silva first, Podium Advanced Technology, which is the general engineering company who coordinate everyone. And I chose Involute Transmission in north of France, which is the specialist of Gearbox. And I chose Italtecnica for the engine. And these are the 4 person I talk to every time. Then they all have their own suppliers, but I don't deal with them. Of course, I met a lot of them because I'm interested to understand more and more and more.
Yeah.
So that's the way I decided to start this company. Of course, in the future, maybe I would like to hire more people and start to internalize some skills, some engineers, etc. But little by little, I prefer to let professional do. And yeah, that's the...
Yeah. And when you're talking to the engineering company or whoever, they've got all their suppliers that they've worked with on loads of projects. They're like, we know that person delivers. Like, we send them the stuff, they make it, blah, 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 all of that. And then, so you're putting all this together. And have you tried, I can't remember how you released it. Did you build a car first, or did you release a 3D model first? I can't remember.
So the idea came in 2019, as I said, and the time to gather all the network and all the connection and the money also. And it was 2021 when I created the company. In 2021, we started straight away. It was COVID, but we started straight away. I sent 1 car at Podium Advanced Technology in north of Torino, in Valle d'Aosta. They disassembled the whole car with absolutely all the parts. And in parallel of that, we started to work with the design studio, Borromeo de Silva, in Milan. And when we had meetings approximately every week, and they presented me all the progress. Maybe I had to take some decision. And we do this meeting with engineers. So it was a process of 8 to 9 months to have the first sketches, 3D, validated by the engineering team. Because if you design something, it's better to be sure that it's feasible on the car. And at the end of this year, 2021, I had, a bomb cost for 3 type of prototype because I wanted to go straight to the prototype. But in fact, I wasn't able because it was too expensive. So, I decided the last option, which was the most expensive, because I didn't want, I had so precise idea of what I wanted in terms of engineering and design, that I didn't want to make a compromise. It was not possible for me. So I said, okay, I'm gonna wait. In the meantime, we have to find a way to launch a static model. So I wanted to make, this kind of static model like in salon, in car show, like in Geneva back in the days, where everything is fake. There is just 4 wheels and no interior, nothing, made of foam. We didn't do that because the engineer said, look, this kind of static model costs this. And if you add a little bit more, and if you give us another car, we can maybe convert a real Nightweight into a fake show car, a mocap. So we did this gold Nightweight, that we launched in June 2022. So this car was, fiberglass, a lot of Bondo everywhere, 3D printed parts. But it was driving actually, but no engineering, absolutely no engineering. So all the interior was fake. no wires connected to the dashboard, nothing. It was barely driving. That's it. But it was not anymore road legal because for the pop-up headlights. So this car has traveled a lot now, and it's full of scratch everywhere. But it's a very important car for me. So we did this car with another company based in Torino called AM Costruzione Modelli, which is specialized in show car. And we did this in 3 months, I think, which is quite. There is a lot of work already on this car, and we launched the car with the help of Ted Bouchou, from Type 7. So Carlo Borromeo and the team at Borromeo de Silva, they have a lot of very good connection. Actually, more than I thought back in the days, because I didn't realize who they really were. And we launched the car. I think it was the morning of 7th of June on Type 7. I had 300 followers on my Instagram, which I converted into Nardone Automotive. And I remember the Instagram was going crazy, So the physical launch, the event we organized in Milan, was during the Design Week in Milan. And we invited a lot of people. But the launch on Type 7 was, I think it went viral. And at the end of the year, it was the second most important post on the Type 7. And
oh, really?
Yeah,
wow.
I had I don't remember if it's in 1 week, I had 20,000 followers.
Ooh.
So this around, every time I refresh the page was 100. It was just crazy. So we realized that it was a good idea to do a transaxle Porsche and not another 911. And thanks to this finally small investment, I would say, I managed to sell, I think it was 5 or 6 cars immediately.
Oh, really?
It was
nice.
Unbelievable because people, they didn't have seen the car, anything, just a call or a message on Instagram, and I received deposit and contract signed, and it was a really a magical experience.
And at that point, did you have a price? Did you have this is when they're going to be ready?
Yeah, so the price, we studied, of course, a lot with Porsche Advanced Technology because when they delivered at the end of 2021, the cost for the prototype, of course, there was the cost for production cars. And so I knew more or less exactly my margin. The only thing was about options. So I was not able to say, okay, this option would cost this. So I decided to make 8 cars called Launch Edition. And these 8 cars will match with 1 year of production. So this year will be, 2025 will be the first year of production cars. And we will probably be able to start to deliver 7 to 8 cars next year. And of course, we will ramp up the year after. But I said, okay, this price, these cars are all going to be full option. So I have no question about how much it's going to cost. And because my brand is new, I'm not famous. I would like to make something win-win for the customers and for me. So they trust me, and I gave them a best price. And of course, the car number 9 won't be the same price. It will be a bit more expensive. But also because in the meantime, the development, I complexify a lot the engineering phase. And I added a lot of wishes that I wanted to accomplish. So the engineers had to work more, and of course you pay more, so it's more expensive in the end. But so the 8 launch edition were almost sold out quite quickly.
That's a great start. We've launched it, loads of followers, actual customers putting down real money.
Actually, I would say that now I would push more to do the final prototype immediately for the launch, because the phase between 2022 for the launch and now 2024, where I just launched the real prototype, so the first production prototype,
Yeah.
it's 2 years, and it's quite long, because in the meantime, there are maybe 10 companies who has arrived in the Restomod industry, and they are doing great. They are big group now. I don't know if you realize this, but it's not anymore one person like a Genio or like a Luca Ben.
Yeah.
Me, it's now big group which arrives with a lot of legacy, a lot of history, and they create a car that they sell sold out maybe in 2 days because they have this big delay.
Yeah, but I guess you don't know how it's going to be received. You don't necessarily want to commit all of the money up front. Like, that's tricky.
It's not a marketing exercise for me, So I'm creating a business, and I want to spend the next 30 years of my life doing this. So it has to be bankable at some point, and yeah.
With your car, what have you sort of defined or aimed for in terms of like your interpretation of the 928? Like, how are you? Some people go, like I spoke to the Eccentrica people yesterday, and they wanted to do a Diablo with the best technology that was available kind of at the time that the product was made. Whereas some people like Gunther Works, they go, if Porsche made a 993, if they just keep making 993s, what would a 2024 993? What have you aimed at with your car?
So it's more like Gunther Works, I would say, because you can't backdate a 928. You can't really backdate. I mean, I could take a 928 S4 and make it look like the first generation, because to me it was obvious that the S4 was the best donor car for the 32 valves V8 engine versus the 16 valve for the older version. So what I had the precise idea of what I wanted for this car. I didn't want to create a race car. A lot of Nightweight enthusiasts tend to modify their car in a way that they beat a 911 on the racetrack. To me, it's a Grand Tourer, so it was clear that it had to remain a Grand Tourer. I wanted to make it faster, of course, but I didn't give to the engineers a target of weight reduction, even if we managed to lighten quite a lot the car. But that was not a goal. I wanted to improve the comfort and, of course, the driving experience, which includes a lot of parameters like steering feeling, gearbox feeling, sound system. To me, it's quite important. Also, the sound deadening inside the car, the sound of the exhaust, a lot of parameters. And I think, I've not driven the car a lot because we finished it 1 week before Monterey. So we flew the car. We just make sure that it wasn't overheating. And I drove it like 50 kilometers in Monterey and around. And it was already very promising. Of course, there is a lot of development to do, but I can really feel that we put the cursor at the right level. And I'm really happy already with the result. In terms of design, it was so we had a lot of meetings with the designers at the beginning, and so we had clearly at the end of all the meetings, we did a list of things that we wanted to change maybe on the Nightweight, like the proportion of the front versus the rear, and it was clear that we had to redo everything. So absolutely all the panels except the doors, which are already aluminum, and they are quite iconic. So we and also for regulation, for TUV approval, etc. It's very hard to modify a door or to make it in carbon and then to have the validation. So since there was no goal to lighten more the car and they were already aluminum, we decided to keep the doors. But all the other panels, we changed them. And the Nightweight, for me, it was a mix of feelings. Every time I used to see a Nightweight on the road, I really loved it, especially the GTS version with the wide fenders at the back. But for the other version with the flat fenders, it was a bit weird, on photos, it was very rare when I love a Nightweight on photos. In reality, it has a real presence and I really love it. But what I loved a lot about the Nightweight was the engineering below the car,
Yeah.
so under the body, I mean. And this to me was speaking a lot, and when we disassembled the car with the engineers to scan all the parts, Luca Ciancetti, one of the founder of Podium, he told me, Thierry, this car is really well engineered. It was developed in the 70s, so it's quite old, and it's very well engineered with double wishbone. It was the beginning of the base axle at the back, which is now on every 911s. And actually, a good Nightweight, when it's in perfect condition, with some improvements, it's really, really good to drive. And you can travel, 1,000 kilometers in one day, and you are you at the end of the day. So that's really impressive. You can drive it very fast already. So with all the modification that we did, I can't wait to do a road trip with it and so to see all the results.
How was going to Monterey, that trip?
Very good, because last year I went there with the show car, so the gold one, and it was really frustrating for me because I wasn't able to pop up the hood. I knew what was coming, but I wasn't able because it was the original engine. I wasn't able to start the sound system, etc. So it was good. I realized that people were looking at me and waiting. So I had a lot of interesting connection, potential customers as well as other professionals. And so it was really good to go there last year. And this year, it was even better because I had the finished car. But of course, you need to prove more than a beautiful sound system and beautiful aesthetic. You need to put the car on the road to convince people. So I already convinced some of them already this summer, which is very cool. But I have a lot of person who wants to come and see the car in Italy once it's 100% drivable. So hopefully by end of the year it will be finished. But yeah, it was a nice feeling, and nice feeling. I had a lot of very interesting feedback of potential customer who said they like the way I progress every year. They liked it because it's Nardone Automotive today is one person, it's me. So of course a lot of engineers around and a lot of other companies, as you know, but it's only me. So no one can speak better about my car than me, and I think people appreciate this because it's 100% true when they speak about the car, and they feel, I think, all the energy I put into this car, and you can't lie when you do things with passion.
Yeah, and you really do need to. I sometimes have this because I get to talk to lots of people in this space, and often like with 911s, I've done a lot of interviews with people doing Restomod 911s, and in my head I'm like, oh, it's just another 911. But often what happens is and it's repeatedly happened, so I'm like not surprised anymore. But when I meet the person who's behind the project, it's like straight away you know kind of what they're about. But each person that I've spoken to, they're all a bit different, and they all have you get an idea of what they are like, and that then you can get an understanding of what their car is like. And I think meeting the person, if there's one person, you get that gives you a much better idea of what the finished car is at least aiming for. Than reading anything, or I mean you can read the stuff and whatever, but like you don't get a true understanding of like what they're aiming for. And especially so early in a project, you know that like it's going to be a while until we see a car or people driving cars or whatever. And then to go, do I align? I think a lot of you'll probably find this, you'll be able to tell me with your customers that they sort of like they align like with your vision or not quite. And then if it's like this, perfect, great, thank you very much, let's go ahead. But if it's not, then you're like, maybe this is not the one for you. Have you found that?
Yeah, so I would say that I'm lucky so far with my first few customers because I think they love the vision. And what is funny, also that I realized is that a lot of people now, I think back in the days they were shy to say that they like the Nightweight, and I think now that every people I meet, they have a story with a Nightweight at some point. So this is funny. And all the customers I have, they loved the Nightweight. And I think they like my vision. So we are aligned. Of course, some of them can bring suggestion because all of them, they have singers, they have roof, they have... And I'm really happy because I created this car to go in the same kind of corrections.
Yeah.
So this is cool. And I think this is how you grow a company as well. If you are closed and you don't listen nothing and you don't accept criticize or you say it, I don't know. But you have to be open-minded and listen and to get better the next time.
And what level of performance are you aiming for?
So the target, when we did the feasibility study in 2021, I wanted to make sure that we would be able to reach 400 horsepower, starting with the 5-liter engine, 320 horsepower. So it was 80 horsepower of improvement, but on a naturally aspirated engine, when you then touch the capacity, it's quite a lot of work to get. You just don't have to turn the pressure of the turbo because there are no. So you have to work deep in the engine. And the engineers at Italtecnica, they said, it's going to be feasible after, what is this? After the feasibility study, they said, yes, we should be able to reach a bit more. And I said 400 would be fine. And same, I started the feasibility study with an involute transmission to be sure that the gearbox will be feasible, because I didn't want to swap the gearbox with another type of gearbox. First, because you have to modify the rear frame, and it wouldn't be matching number anymore. So at the end of the feasibility study, I was sure that we could make a 6-speed and have 400 horsepower. And when we finished the first engine, of course, we went a bit above what I had in mind at the beginning. So in the end, we reached 465 horsepower on the dyno. And it was 65 more than expected. And there was still a little bit of room to play with of spark advance. And I said, no, guys, go down to 450 so we are safe. And now we have to test on the road more than what I did. But you feel that it's a monster. The torque is above the GTS version, which is a 5.4 liter. It has not far from 500 Newton meter. And with the 5 liter that we made, we have a 522 Newton meter. And 80% of the torque is available at 80%, 2000 RPM.
Oh, nice.
So it's a nice feeling. It's very flexible. You're in 6th gear, and you can cruise at 1,500, 2,000 RPM.
Yeah.
It's very, very good feeling. And the gearbox, we always talk about weight reduction, horsepower, but the gearbox, in fact, that we developed is, so the ratio is calculated with the new diameter of wheels and tires, which is quite bigger than the original one.
Yeah.
So as soon as you modify this, the ratio that you have of the original one doesn't match anymore. Of course, you don't feel it a lot, but this and the new torque curve, the power curve, etc. This was calculated before. So we had a vision, and the guy from Involute Transmission knew exactly the ratio that would match with this car. So actually, the 6th gear is the equivalent of the 5th, but the gearbox is totally new. It's a new components inside, but everything is custom made for this car, and you feel that it's really, really perfect. And this actually, in terms of feeling, gives you like 20, 30 more horsepower. So it's very interesting, and I can't wait to push more than 4,000 like I did this.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I had precise orders from engineers, and they told me not to push too much.
What are you aiming to top out at?
We fixed the limits at 7,400 RPM, which is almost 1,500 more than the original. So it's quite a lot for this engine. It sounds amazing because on the original car, Porsche back in the days did everything to kill the engine sound. So you have never intake sound on the Nightweight, except maybe on the first generation. But that was the starting point of the project with the engine. We tested on the flow bench, the CFM of the original one, and the engineer said that we must start by redoing a new design for this. And I was really happy because it would change completely the aspect of the engine bay.
Yeah.
And we ended up with this double, how do you call it? Drive-by-wire throttle bodies. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So we now have these two things that free some sound from the intake, and for the exhaust, the target was to have something not too loud because it's a ground tourer, so you have to keep some comfort inside the cabin. And I think now the balance between the intake sound and the exhaust sound is really good already.
And are you trying to sort of set it so that if you are cruising on a motorway in 6th or whatever, like it's not too any of that?
No. The original one, there is a lot of sound deadening already, and it's very comfortable. So the idea is not to have something louder. Less loud, it will be difficult because
so quiet.
the engine, we have 130 more horsepower compared to the original. So when you have a more aggressive camshaft, when you have more compression ratio, when you have bigger headers, etc., of course you have more noise. So our goal is to keep it close to the original 8-weight.
Yeah. And when you're on it, you can hear it. And then
exactly. Yeah. Only on request, on demand.
Yeah. And in terms of, so what sort of weight? Are you doing carbon body and stuff like that?
Yeah. So as I said at the beginning, there was no target for weight reduction because usually when you play with weight, there is a lot of compromise and negative sides like sound, deadening. like balance sometimes of the car. You can remove weight a lot at some areas of the car, but then it kills the balance. But in the end, we managed to save, I think it's 140 or 30 kilos. I don't remember, but in a good place. So the balance is still 50-50, but with 130 less horsepower, kilos, and 130 more kilos and a 6-speed gearbox. So it feels a completely different car in the same body.
Yeah. And what sort of, I don't know what the original weighed. What sort of weight is loosely the finished car?
So it was 1 ton, 58 for the last version of the GTS, and 60, 1 ton, 560 for the S4, I think. So it was quite a heavy car back in the days. So now we are
114 something.
Yeah. And we added the sound system, which is quite, there is 11 speakers, subwoofer at the back, 2 subwoofer under the front seats. So there is no compromise on agreement, and still a lot of weight.
Yeah, that's something, with it being based on at least like a GT car, a sporty GT car, rather than just a straight, lightweight, as light as possible sports car. Now, actually, when I think of all of, if I think of all of the other Restomods that I can loosely think of, they're all like more like sporty cars, like sports cars. So actually trying to put a decent sound system in is always going to be a problem. Like it's never really going to work that well. Yeah. Whereas your car, it's got a bunch of sound deadening. It's going to be much quieter on a long run. You can actually invest in that area and get some real return.
Exactly. I've been traveling a lot with the Nightweight because when I do the meetings in Italy, I used to go in Milan, in Torino, in the Valley d'Aosta. And very often I take the Nightweight, and I love to listen music in the car, because when you take small road, you don't care about music because you just want to go fast and hear the engine, etc. But when you take the highway, this is where the sound system is interesting, and for that, I really want to be. And I'm not the first to put sound system in Restomod, but I wanted to be maybe the first to communicate a lot about this. And for the sound system, I've been lucky to find 2 companies. One is Foglizzo, so it's a French manufacturer of very high-end speakers. And the other company is Marian Gado from AIM Exclusive in Sweden. So this guy is a nerd of the sound system in cars. I think he has been working in this industry for the 17 last years of his life. And he to just to explain, is the kind of guy who is not satisfied by the speakers he found, so he has to create his own speakers. Just to give you an example, so Marian was the guy who helped integrate the sound system from Foglizzo, and I think we managed to do something really interesting, because we developed a 3D printed box of 1 liter behind each speakers. It shows the amplifier, it shows the autoradio, the place where to put the speakers. And then we spent hours to set up everything with microphone inside the car. And it was incredible. I don't know if you have seen the video on Top Gear. Jason Barlow say it's the most incredible sound I've ever heard in a car. And I believe it, because it's the same for me. It's really impressive, very high resolution, so you can stream high quality track. And this is so the autoradio, you don't have Bluetooth for call, you don't have GPS, you have nothing. It's just about audio, and that's it. But it's really interesting.
Nice. I love I've been spending too much time talking to some speaker manufacturers recently. This company in Australia. I'm going to have a brain fart. I can't remember what they're called. They make this this speaker system where it has no boxes or anything. It's just the speakers solid mounted on something. It's called Archon. These speakers are like $170,000.
Okay.
Like Australian, quite expensive, but spent a lot of time diving into the benefits and the different stuff, and you're like, you just want to experience that. But it means so much to me having a good sound system, or at least a sound system that gets that level where you're not thinking about the road noise and all of that sort of stuff. And it makes a huge, I don't know about you, but every time I do a road trip or normally like a week away with some friends or whatever, I always end up with a soundtrack of that week.
Exact. I do the same. I have some playlists, for different type of moments.
Yeah.
And I do that. And then you have memories with this type of sound, when you listen it on radio. Oh, this is the way.
This road, this time, these people. Do you find you have to drive everywhere in a 928 now because you're the 928 Restomod guy?
Yeah. I mean, I have to, but I want to first.
Yeah.
I want to drive absolutely everywhere with this car. So now the car is coming back from Miami. It is actually my customer number one, who will be a dealer for me, for my brand. I have another one in Connecticut, and they have the car for a moment, so they can present the car to potential customers. And the 28th of October, the car will come back in Torino, and we will start the development phase and testing phase. So we have to do thousands and thousands of kilometers. In quite a short period. So racetrack, mountain, cold, hot. We have to do all this stuff to be sure that the car is reliable. And so we have different phases into this process. But we have, of course, to do the validation of some components for the chassis, for example. So we will be able to start maybe in parallel the customer cars by end of the years. I have already some donors here in the garden, and I'm collecting more. So it's starting soon. But next year you will see more cars.
Yeah. In terms of the in-car, the interior and stuff, just having a look at it, I mean, it all looks very nice. In terms of technology and things like that, are you doing multi-stage traction control and that sort of stuff, or what sort of things are you aiming for?
So I don't want to go too far in terms of technology. To me, too many buttons in a car. It's then buy a new car. It's the same. And I think that if people love Restomod, is because you come back to something that is just essential. Of course, with this car now we have a modern ECU, a Monterey, in our case, and we have a lot of benefits of using this, like traction control. So we will have a traction control. We will have two different maps, one with less horsepower and more torque oriented for more quiet car. And we will have maybe 380 horsepower on this one. And the other one will be full map with 450. I don't have an active exhaust sound, but this is something quite easy to do. For the steering, we have now an electro-hydraulic pump, which is not driven by belt, so it doesn't depend on how fast you go, etc. You can tune it depending on the speed, of course. We have some tests to do with it right now because, for example, before Monterey, we realized that this pump was draining the battery little by little because the alternator was not spinning fast enough. So we had to modify the pulley to fix the problem. So at the moment, the pump is running with a low power. So the assistance was not so good. So this is part of the development. But except that, we have active suspension, semi-active suspension from Tractive. So, you can set up a 5 position and you can have like a GT3 feeling and very comfort in with just one button. So this is more or less everything that we will propose. And of course, the sound system. And there is something else coming, very interesting. We have designed a kind of clock on the dashboard, like a chronopack from Porsche.
Yeah.
Which is inspired by the design of the headlights. And this will stand on the middle of the dashboard and will include a GPS, which is made for motorbikes. But inside you have a GPS with minimalist screen. So it indicates only the essential, because when you are on the bike, you don't see the same information as in a car. And I worked with the company Beeline, and they loved the idea to put this GPS on my car. So they developed a clock. So when you don't use the GPS, there will be a clock which match with the dashboard, same color and same design. And when you switch on and you use the GPS, then you use their app. And on their app, what I loved is that you have this function when you can. Yes, exactly.
So for those that I'm listening, I'm just on the Beeline, their website. Yeah.
It's exactly this. So this will be the clock.
Okay. Oh, okay. Yeah.
And the design of the tripod will be like this.
Oh, nice. Yeah. So that it looks like if you go on the website, you'll see the headlights of the car. That essentially it's a similar sort of housing. I remember talking to someone, I can't remember who it was, and they were trying to do this in the dash it was on a 911, and they were trying to replace one of the circles with a nav system. Yeah. And I think they went down the route of trying to like program it themselves and whatever. And they're like,
is it trying to get?
I can't. I think the guys that was doing it was where are they? German. They're doing a 99. It's a 964 with a 997 GT3 engine in it, and some really interesting adaptable switching technology on the engine and suspension.
I see what you mean. And there is a French company doing the same. I don't have the name now, but yeah.
But yeah, they were saying like trying to design to get all of your information readable on a circle is like impossible. And obviously this seems like a very good solution because they've thought about it.
And the app, with the fun option, so they can propose you an alternative
nice
trip when you are not in a hurry. You can take funny roads and fun roads, and so yeah.
And what made you go for that option versus like a mounting of your phone, like a magnetic thing for your phone or something like that?
Design, I love the minimalist interior that Borromeo de Silva has created, and I wanted to keep it as minimalist as possible. At the beginning, if you take a look at the interior of the show car, you will see that we planned to use the PCCM Classic from Porsche. Unfortunately, we tested it, and with the sound system that we wanted to have, it was not enough. So we simply forgot the idea to use it. And actually, I have it in my car. And to be honest, when you use the Apple CarPlay, I mean, the screen is so small that you struggle a little bit to touch the button, etc. So I said, maybe there is no point using this.
Yeah.
And then I found on Instagram again Beeline, and I thought it was the perfect idea, and the team was enthusiastic to make it for me. So it was interesting.
A thought that it's come into my head, and I don't know whether it's even worth thinking about, but with something like that that sits on the dash, is there an option to just have some sort of connector so that you can have it there, but also you could just take it off and it not be there?
No, because you have to drill the dashboard to fix it correctly, or maybe you could do it with magnet. But then, actually, we designed the 3D, but we didn't engineer it so far. So maybe this is a good idea.
I'll give you that one for free as a random suggestion. No, it sounds like a cool thing. I am all about road trips, and to be honest, I'm feeling like I want to be a little bit more comfortable these days, but also something more interesting. So I usually wrap these up with 5 questions.
Yeah.
Do you have a most memorable driving trip or journey?
I have quite a lot because I have a lot of issue on the road with my cars, from my early 80s to now. But I would say that recently the road trip I've done with friends, are the best. I've been invited, for example, by Fergie Porsche to the Batman K opening.
Oh, yeah.
And I just bought 1 month ago this Nightweight GT that I have in my garage. And I really wanted this car because it has the GTS fenders with the GT engine and gearbox, so it was perfect. And it will become a mule, by the way, for my development. And this car, so I didn't know the car. I had an issue with the clutch 30 minutes after I bought the car. And I struggled to fix the problem because actually it was not a typical problem. It was not the hydraulic, it was not the disc, not the mechanism, nothing. It was just the fork that had 1 millimeter less of material and was not pushing the bearing enough. So I did it myself, but I had to disassemble tags. And then I realized there was this use on the metal of the fork, and I had to weld, then to machine everything to make it the original tolerances. And then it worked perfectly. But this was the day before the trip. But then I took the car straight to Austria with my friend and my community manager, which has a nice 911 3.2 Targa. And we drove it maybe 9 hours the first day. And actually, when you don't know the car, you are a bit scared. But we drove flat out in Italy. You can drive quite fast.
Yeah.
And the car was just perfect. But then we start to make a quick breakfast. And I pulled the handbrake and I forgot to remove it. And I started driving 150, 160. And the car was starting to vibrate, like this. And this is weird. And the smell also.
Yeah.
And we had a talkie-walkie, I called my friend, Daniel, and I said, "Don't you smell something?" He said, "Yes, it smells like burned brake." And then I said, "Oh man, oh shit, I forgot the brake." And I removed the handbrake and it stopped vibrating. But of course, I had no more handbrake.
Yeah.
And I think, it's quite a smart system because the handbrake is inside the disc and then you have your caliper. So both systems are independent. You can use the brakes even with the handbrake dead. But then it caused a problem. So when I arrived in the mountain, very close to the place, the brake started to lock, So I was driving in the mountain with like you push on the brake. Like this. I arrived and I had to park the car with the brakes smoking everywhere.
Yeah, smoking.
And I had to put some snow on the brakes to make them cool. It was not very smart, but I was scared that the caliper lock,
Yeah.
And after that, it was perfect. So I had to put a stone under the wheel to go down the
hill.
So yeah, it was funny. This was
That is
a funny moment. But
that is funny. If you could only drive one car, one sports car, you've got like a practical cheap thing on the side for family or whatever. What sports car would it be? I mean,
I would love to, if I had no restriction of budget, maybe there is one hypercar I would buy. Now it's sold out, but the Gordon Murray T50. To me, it's not that much about the design, to be honest. I love the car, but it's more about the engineering and the person behind the project. I love everything about this car. And if it would be a family car, I would love to have a version of the Audi RS2.
oh yeah, nice, nice.
Family car, you take your kids and wife, and when you're on the highway, you stop to this péage. I would call it in France. You pay, and then flat out, and you burn all the Ferraris and stuff like this. That would be
that always used to be my favorite bit, or one of the like memorable bits of driving through France was like the péages, slowing down and then gunning it when you're in some nice cars. Now I got a beeper, so you don't have to slow down so much. But oh yeah, how much are your cars?
So the new base price, so the 8 launch edition were 480,000 euros.
Yeah,
plus donor car and the VAT for some of them.
Yeah.
We decided recently to go. My first customer in Miami helped me quite a lot for that because he's very used to the Restomod movement and he has a lot of them. He told me not to propose an option at a lower price with a basic engine. So now the engine that I developed will be standard for the cars. So of course it's more expensive. So now the base price is 540, which I think, if you look closely now to the Restomod movements, under 700, it's quite hard to find something. It's quite hard, and I think the balance between price engineering is really interesting because we developed a lot of parts for the car, and it's not a body kit. That's what I try to explain every time because I try to communicate a lot about engineering and about everything, but you realize that people, when they never scroll down your Instagram page or the website. Now we have a new brand identity made by a Popins agency in London. So the website is more clear, and you have more information than previously. But it's hard to explain people everything there is behind. So that's why when I speak with a customer, it's a pleasure for me to explain, and they realize they are okay. Yeah, I didn't realize. Most of the time they love the design and that's it. But when they explain everything behind, they say, okay, now it's serious.
Yeah. What is the most undervalued car at the moment for you? What should be worth more?
I think I would say the Nightweight. It's still very cheap. Now you can start to see very expensive GTS sold on auction. I've seen some of them at 200 plus, 400 plus, with very low mileage and the last year of production with manual gearbox, etc. And people are ready to put 400 in an original GTS that you could pay $10,000 10 years ago. So I think it's still undervalued.
I think so.
This car.
What's the most interesting car to you at the moment? Could be technology, anything.
To me, in the hypercar world, I really like Gordon Murray Automotive and Koenigsegg, because Koenigsegg is I would love to visit. They are genius. They have so many skills inside their company, create engine, gearbox, and everything. It's a bit it's impressive for me to be able to do so many things in one company. So I would say Koenigsegg is and also Zinger.
Yeah.
This 3D printed car.
Yeah.
I think it's so disruptive compared to what we are used to see. It's
Zinger is it's a really interesting one. Like I don't think they I don't know. I don't think they've sold many cars. But the technology technology is in lots of other cars.
Yeah.
So I think one of the new Ferraris has Zinger suspension components.
Bugattis as well.
Bugatti, exactly. So like all of that technology is so cool.
They have a lot. Yeah. A lot of they supply a lot of very famous brands.
Yeah, that's definitely pretty cool. Right, final question. 5-car garage, unlimited value.
Okay, so Koenigsegg, Gordon Murray.
Which Koenigsegg?
Sorry, I don't remember exactly the name. You know this new version of their first
Yesco?
Not the Yes.
Oh no, CC 850.
Yeah, this one
with the manual.
Exactly. So this one, the T50, and of course a roof.
Yeah.
Of 50-year anniversary. I would buy probably. So this is 3 cars. A Seagull.
You probably need some sort of daily maybe.
No,
in there somewhere.
I'm not. I don't care about putting mileage on the precious and expensive car. It's all the contrary actually. And so I would daily them. I would buy a Seagull, of course.
Yeah.
I would buy. So this is 4.
Yeah.
And for the last one, maybe Eagle E-Type or Alphaholics. Yeah.
I'm visiting Alphaholics next week.
Yeah.
I'm fingers crossed. I'm driving something. I'm very excited. Well, thanks very much for coming on the podcast.
Thanks to you for thinking about me and my Nightweight.
No worries. No, and hopefully I will see you and your 928 at some point.
Yeah, with pleasure. Where are you based?
I'm West London.
Okay, so I think next year I will come with the car around because I have a lot of events to do there. And there is a market also in UK. So
perfect. Right. Thanks very much.